Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Mike Shinoda.
Steve Aoki.
And thank you so much for submitting your questions Saturday night online. And special thanks to Romeo for having us. And we'll jump right into some questions. The first one is from Aaron from Dublin.
Who initially thought of our collaboration.
How did it come about, Steve?
Well, I guess to sum it up, the easiest way to do it would be Twitter. We're just messaging each other from Twitter and kind of, you know, just gauging, you know, how we're going to do this record or if we're going to do something together. And then we started sending files back and forth through the interweb, and you know, eventually over the course of, like, I don't know, 6 months. I mean, it took us quite some time to get to the final stage, and then we were like, how are we going to debut the record?
Yeah. It was almost like there's a exercise in patience, you know, because like we had to, especially on your end, because you were doing a lot of interviews that were people like, what's next, what's next, what's next, and Steve didn't give it away.
That was like the one thing I was like, oh man, if I could only just share this gem. Just like, because it's so exciting for me to be doing something outside my box. I always work with other producers, and to finally work with one of my favorite bands of all time, and get to a place where we really do showcase our sounds together, you know, in a way where it makes sense for, you know, my fans and my world, and for Linkin Park fans and their world. You know, it was a really, really proud moment.
Awesome. Let's check out some more questions. We got Jeremy from California asking what inspired Linkin Park to make a remix album. Well, we actually, our previous studio album called Living Things came out last year, and we always try and do things to incentivize fans to get it directly from LinkinPark.com. So when our next studio album comes out, check LinkinPark.com, because we always give away or do certain special, you know, come up with special things for the fans who buy there. So for Living Things, we told them we'd give them remixes, 1 a month for as long as it lasted. Ended up doing 6 months of remixes. And when we were collecting those, tons and tons of other remixes came in, and we realized that we wanted to put those together in an album. There were just so many good ones. So October 29th, Recharged comes out, and that's the remix album. It's got the song with us and Steve on it, which is a brand new track. All the rest are remixes. There's remixes by Datsik, Killsonic, Vice featuring Pusha T, Bun B is on there, Money Mark, and there's even A Light That Never Comes, our song, is there's a remix on there of that song done by Rick Rubin, who rarely does remixes, but he made it happen for us. So yeah, so that comes out at the end of the month, and it's a little bit more of an EDM leaning project.
All right, this one's from Marcial from the Philippines. What was the inspiration for A Light That Never Comes? Well, I mean, Mike, you start on this one.
I mean, from the lyrical standpoint, one of the things that like kind of set it off was that we don't normally do like songs that are built around a drop, you know. So getting into the EDM mindset and like that kind of a structure of a song, we started thinking about that, and lyrically the idea of anticipation just kind of became a big part of the song. So, and for me, you know, I always think that like waiting for something, waiting for anything, that is sometimes one of the most like aggravating or antagonistic or frustrating or exciting human emotions. So it was fun to write a song kind of around that theme. Next one is Joey from Lions.
What were each of your grades like?
Is that Lions?
School?
Is that right? I don't know. Is that? I guess so. What was your grades like in school? That's a great question.
Yeah, well, my grades, they fluctuated pretty much all the way until I got to college. Actually, before I got to college, I had a 3.1 GPA, and I don't know how I got in. I applied to every UC school, because I was in California. I wanted to stay in California, so I applied to every UC school, and I got rejected to all of them except for UC Santa Barbara. For whatever reason, accepted me, and then and then like I survived that school, and I think the last the 2 years I actually my grades extremely improved because I started loving school. So I think I graduated with like a 3.7 or something like that at the end of the day.
I didn't love school, but I did what I had to do. I think I did pretty well. I think I had like a 3.8 something or other in high school.
That's good. That's like.
I mean, I worked at it, you know. But the thing is, for me, that I was always into art. I always planned to go to art school, so it was kind of almost like part of that might have been that I was doing a bunch of art classes and stuff, and you know, I'd always work so hard on those and do well in those classes. I don't remember what it was like in college. I went to an art school for college, and kind of grades were a little bit. I mean, you had to keep a certain GPA to like stay in, but other than that, you weren't really focused on grades at Art Center. You're more focused on like, you know, what are you learning? What'll it take to be like a professional illustrator, designer, or whatever. So.
All right, this is from Anthony from Elk Grove. Are these like different cities in America? What is the best thing about making music that millions of people love?
The best thing? There's a lot of interesting things. I mean, like, one thing that I like, one thing that like struck me the first time we went out to a non-English speaking country is like, for example, Japan, or I think our first tour outside the U.S. was actually in Europe, and I think we went to like Germany and France, and they were singing the words. And so for somebody to like, you know, to go to a place where they don't speak English as their first language and they're singing, you know, English words to your song, it's just so powerful, you know, and we're so grateful that this thing has kind of crossed those boundaries and created this you know, community with people that are out there, almost regardless of language.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm in the studio making a record, the first thing I'm thinking about, or not the first thing, but more like the last thing I'm thinking about is how it's going to be effective when I play the song out. You know, it's like, how is it going to connect with the audience? And in the same token that Mike's saying about when you see people singing to your songs, it's like when you see people reacting, and when they know the song, they react differently. They're going to jump higher. You see more hands. You see their faces change and light up. That's the goal. You know, it's connection and connecting to more people, and in that global way too. You know, because the whole idea is to make music is an international language. It's something. There's no boundaries that stop it. So.
Amber from Las Vegas is asking, will the next Linkin Park album sound like any of the previous albums, or continue to change in a new direction? I think that we're still in a changing mode. I mean, for people that are, you know, a little bit less familiar, our first two records were really, I think, really kind of like brother albums. Like, they were similar in style, and then after that, ever since then, we really just tried to branch away from that, or try different things, stretch ourselves creatively, learn new things in the studio, play with new styles of music, and you know, the Project Steve is one example of that. But I think that our next album won't even sound like this song. Like, it'll sound like something completely different from this or what we've done previously. You know, we're in the studio working right now. I was with Chester just last night, and Chester and Brad and Joe, and we were writing some new stuff. So we're hopefully, we would like to get something out to people next year.
Ashley from Texas, where'd you two meet? We first kind of met through the internet, really. That's like that's how I met a lot of different artists, actually.
Yeah.
It's you know, with busy schedules, it's like either meet at festivals,
right,
which is or like through Twitter or through.
You know, you reminded me though, the very first time that somebody like kind of put us together, I forgot about that magazine cover they wanted to do. I think it was Complex.
It was Herb.
Oh, Herb.
Herb, yeah.
They wanted to put us on the cover together. I don't know if there was a third person, but they were like, oh yeah, you guys like Japanese background, so like we put Japanese people on the cover. I was like, that's so weird. That's such a weird connection. Like, oh, okay, like, so can just anybody who's like got some Japanese blood get in the picture then?
Yeah. This
we'll
is
put like James Eha in the picture.
Right.
And, like,
this
anyway.
is 2005.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
2005. So that was almost 10 years ago.
What were you even making? What were you in the middle of in 2005?
2005. I wasn't even known as a producer then, because I was just started doing remixes. So it was more like I was part of this growing hipster culture of DJs.
Yeah.
And this is like before electro has really burst into the scene.
Yeah.
So we were like doing that whole thing in LA, and that was really the start of my DJ career, actually. So it was kind of, it was definitely a buzzing moment in LA.
Yeah, for sure,
you know.
for sure. I remember seeing like they did like a maybe a couple years after that they did like a you ever see that piece that included you on like Current TV? You ever see that? It's like you were on a space. It was like a spaceship.
Oh yeah,
full of
hipsters in space.
Hipsters in space, and you were like the captain.
Right.
Captain
yeah,
of the hipsters in space.
It was a flying sneaker.
It was so funny.
A flying Nike sneaker, and they had like different hipsters.
Oh,
in
it was so.
that character.
Yeah, it was all like like the stock hipster characters.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like,
That was,
they're all looking at you like, what do we do next?
Right.
That's amazing. Alina from Argentina. Do you have upcoming tours? My answer's short. We actually, we're in the studio right now, so not at the moment. We will probably be announcing some things later on at some point next year. So follow Linkin Park on Twitter and Facebook to get the latest info on that.
I'm actually right now embarking on a U.S.-Canadian run called Aoki America, and I'm doing the tour with Waka Flocka and Borgor and Pharrell. And it's like my annual U.S. bus tour, and but it's not going to Argentina because we don't have flying buses. But eventually we'll get there, and I love Argentina, so I'll be there very soon. And me and Mike and Linkin Park, I'm sure we'll be doing the song up live at some point, but we'll post that up on our websites. Sanid from Mexico City, do you guys plan on working with each other in the future? Which is kind of what I answered. But as far as live show.
Yeah. We'll move on then. Joel from Montreal. Maybe it's Joel. Mike, what's the name and history of the painting in the first scene of the Somewhere I Belong music video? That's actually, I think that's that was Joe's painting. Joe and I met in at Art Center. Both of us were illustration students, and he does paint, although he doesn't do it as often as you'd think. He actually, I think his main thing is that he paints and then he hates it and then he like paints over it. So he's basically been working on one painting for like 10 years. But that painting was done, and he I think he was probably kind of designing something that he could. That's what the video was kind of inspired by, is that image that he painted with these like weird creatures. Yeah, let's move on.
Yasmin from Brazil. Who is your dream artist to tour with?
Oh, that's a good one. Who's yours?
I don't know off the top of my head. These are things that I should know, but it's a tough one because it always changes,
Yeah.
as you get inspired by different artists and people.
We did some. I can say that we did some really cool shows with some folks. I mean, people always know about like the shows that we did with Jay-Z and stuff like that. We brought Prodigy to the States one year. That was pretty, like a couple years ago. That was really fun because they just freak people out for some reason. They're so funny on stage. Liam just doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care at all. And then the other guys are Keith and Maxim are just like so entertaining on stage. They're just great. Who was the other one? I'm like blanking on that band. We'll just move on.
When I think about dream artists, I'm always thinking of like the stuff that could never happen, like Beethoven.
Yeah.
Or do something really strange like that, you know, have some like weird kind of generational gap thing going on. Giuliano from Italy, what will Recharge sound like?
Recharged is, it's basic. I mean, it's one of the reasons why we asked Steve if he'd be cool including the including A Light That Never Comes on Recharged. You know, A Light That Never Comes is a new song. The rest of Recharged is they're all remixes. So it wasn't like it didn't occur to us for a little bit that we should put the two together, but it does have an EDM feel. The Recharged album is like there's a bunch of different electronic flavors on there, quite a few dubstep remixes, and then some stuff that kind of sits outside that realm. So you know, but if you're familiar with some of the artists like Datsik or Killsonic, if you're familiar with some of the work of the different remixers, then you kind of know what it sounds like. I'd say the ones that stand out as, you know, you don't know what to expect, and I kind of don't want to give it away. I want you to be surprised. My remixes are kind of, they've got their own thing going on. Rick Rubin's remix of A Light That Never Comes is unlike anything else on the record. So those, I think those are kind of the surprise moments, and those help kind of round out the experience.
Rahat from New York, what advice do you have for unknown artists? What helped you gain success? You know what? It's all about, first of all, you know, you just gotta have fun with what you do. You know, you have to love what you do. If you have love in it, then you're gonna put passion and interest and experience and craftsmanship. All those things come with your passion at first. So I always say, like, if you don't love what you do, then find something else that you love, and then focus on that.
Yeah, I was talking to, we had a fan kind of contest recently with our fans. It was called, God, what did we call it? What was it? LPU, it wasn't sessions. We had a contest where fans could submit songs, and our fan club would, you know, vote on the songs, and the ones who got the two top votes got to come in the studio with us and record. And we worked with a guy named Ryan Giles, and we worked with a band called Beta State, and they were the winners. The fans picked them, and we did different stuff with each of them in the studio, and they had a unique, you know, each had their own like experiences in music and their own style, what they like to make and all this stuff. And they didn't like, I think for me, like when I was working with those guys, it took me back to when we were just getting started and everything. And you just think of it in terms of like, well, just make sure that you're, you know, when you're getting started, like it's good to like imitate other things, to like to get your chops, to like learn how to do different things. And then at a certain point, like, you know, you have to like hone in on what are you trying to say? Like, what makes you different from the other artists, and what can you do to learn how to do all of the things it takes to be an artist? Like, it's more than just like if you're a guitarist, like learning how to play guitar. Like, you in today's day and age, I think you really have to learn how to be how to record your stuff, how to, you know, write great songs, how to even put it out and market it and talk to people about it and stuff. And that part of it, I think, is, you know, more important than anything. When you're able to do that stuff, you don't really need anybody else's help. You know?
It's like exploring. When you explore a new frontier, you'll find something that you never even found before. And then if you feel like that's a sound you want to focus on, and you know no one else is doing it, that's kind of how I found my sounds. It's like, oh, whoa, wow, that sounds really weird and unique. And then you save those, and you kind of make your own arsenal. Mm-hmm. But like exactly, you know, going off what you're saying.
Zoe from Melbourne asking, what's the meaning of Leave Out All the Rest? That was a really, as like poppy as that song was on our, was it Minutes to Midnight record, and it's pretty dark. Actually, let's skip that one, because it's a little non sequitur.
Alexa from Costa Mesa. As artists, did you learn anything from each other while working together? Well, remember we talked about this before. It's like, I mean, I learned a lot. It's a different kind of process from working with another producer versus working with a band. And there's a lot more that I dived into. I mean, like, usually when you work with another producer, it's like you only have like 2 people to work with. Mm-hmm. Whereas with you guys, there's like a lot of different moving parts and melodies coming back and forth, and like a great melody that just like, okay, we're actually not going to use that because, I mean, there's just so many more different pieces to the puzzle from my end. So it really opened up the color of palette to work off of for me.
I thought for us, we were really inspired by the sounds that you brought in. Those were just awesome, and really got our, like, it set the tone for the song being kind of a different kind of song. And then, you know, once we started thinking of it in terms of like, okay, well, this is, you know, it's not your standard, it's not like any other kind of structure or genre that we've ever really fully, you know, gone into with our stuff. So we started like structuring the song in a different way. And as I was saying to somebody earlier today, it's like when you listen to the song, one of the places where that manifested itself was that, like, if you, the chorus, each time the chorus happens in the song, it's complete. The music bed underneath it is completely different. The arrangement is based more around a play on the you know, EDM drop than it is on like a rock structure.
And even the lyrics too.
Yeah, that's true. The lyrics were inspired by that drop as well. They were inspired by that anticipation factor.
Victor from Brazil, will you ever make a music video for A Light That Never Comes?
It's a great question. We are in the middle of doing that right now. Joe Hahn is directing the video, and it is actually it's actually all done in 3D. Even when you see our faces in the video, they're actually scans, and they're being animated and manipulated in the computer. So there's no just like, you know, video footage as far as I know, unless it's like projected on 3D imagery. So the everything is in the computer 3D. It took a lot of like processing power to make this video. It's apparently, from a technical standpoint, it's really, really crazy.
Well, the camera that they used to film my face was like, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it's almost like staring into a strobe light for.
That's right.
You know,
yeah. It was
hours. It's like, it actually made
being
me.
at a rave. It was like.
Yeah. Well, it made me feel like I was like
hypnotized.
Yeah, a little bit. Like I almost felt like I was like high. Like I'm looking into this camera, just like, whoa. That's just like I felt dizzy a little bit. And that's apparently because it's a 3D camera. It's shooting, you know, the 3-dimensional information of your face as you're performing, and also representing color and things like that. So it's a really unique looking video. Joe and our team at Ghost Town created it, and it'll be out any day now. We're actually, let's probably just do like one more.
Okay.
Pick your favorite one. What do you want to do?
Let's just like run through these real quick. Johan, what are your favorite songs ever?
Do you have an answer?
I mean, I have a few. You want to do this one?
Okay, so Siddharth from New Delhi asks, what are each of your favorite songs ever? That's a tough one. We were talking about, I mean, as far as like new stuff that's out right now, I was saying I'm really into Haim right now, Churches. I've gone back just this month into some really heavy stuff that I haven't listened to in a while. Pretty heavy. This month, out of nowhere, I just like started listening to like Refused.
Oh, awesome!
And I was like, oh man, I forgot how much I loved this record. So from Refused, Shape of Punk to Come,
the Shape of Punk to Come is one of the best albums of all time.
Landmark record. To At the Drive-Ins.
Oh man, In Casino Out, or
the one after that, was it Relationship of Command? Is that the name of it?
Oh yeah.
Both of those are really great.
Yeah.
What else?
That era was great too.
Such a good vibe. But then I went into some hardcore stuff like Strife.
Oh yeah. I mean,
guy-
definitely for me, that's like when I think my favorite songs that are part of my life, my lifestyle. It's like, you know, Gorilla Biscuits and Youth of Today and
Inside Out.
yeah, and Fugazi. You know, even though they're
Yeah.
kind of outside that world, but like, you know, that culture is like,
Yeah.
you know, Born Against.
Do you know, gosh, oh, what band am I thinking of? That Gorilla Biscuits record is crazy because it's almost every song, it's like all so short and compact.
Yeah.
And it was so about the scene, I guess. Like I don't,
It
I
was
wasn't
about
there when it happened,
Yeah,
and I
I
listened
know,
to it, and
yeah,
I feel
me
like
too.
I'm in a time warp. Like I'm transported to this little thing.
But it's
this
like,
little
it's
moment.
funny, like hardcore is always about like the self-help songs.
Kind of,
like,
yeah.
Like, get up out of bed, put your clothes on, do something good, you know, like it's just funny, like.
Yeah. That's funny.
You know, that's definitely when I think my favorite songs. It's like I go back to my adolescent youth period.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Yeah.
So I guess.
There's a lot of questions.
Yeah, they said we can just jump through. So, that's it for us. Thanks very much for submitting your questions, and thanks to Saturday Night Online and Romeo.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys, for checking out this interview and sending in all your questions. And see you on the interweb.